I'd like to welcome Roger McQueen to Salt Lake Community College's Leadership Forum. Roger graduated from the University of Idaho and has a BS degree in communications. During his schooling, he contracted as a college intern with Northwestern Mutual and has been with them now for 37 years in various leadership roles. In 1991, he became managing partner in Wisconsin, and in 1997, he was asked to oversee the Salt Lake City Agency as a general manager. He's been a managing partner in Utah to the present day. The agency in 1997 had $3.2 billion life insurance in force. Under his leadership, it's grown to more than $11 billion. And his group holds the #1 market share in the state of Utah. Is that market share among all life insurance companies? Wonderful, wow. He has 75 full-time representatives and 30 college interns from all colleges and universities throughout the state. In his career, he has received several personal production awards from Northwestern Mutual and the industry. Today, his management awards include the GAMA Awards as a Platinum Master Agency Award winner. You'll have to tell us more about that. He serves presently on the Salt Lake Community College Foundation Board and is a member of the Salt Lake Rotary Club. He's held and continues to hold many leadership positions in his local church. Roger's been married 38 years, has 5 sons and 7 grandchildren. He enjoys the thrill of living a full life. As often his family travels and experiences the love of outdoor adventures, from skiing, kayaking, river running, golf, tennis, scuba diving, rock climbing, and running. He was a participant in one of the inaugural teams in the Wasatch Back Relay Run, 180-mile run, and was the oldest finisher of that race. He continues to sponsor and run the race every year with his office and his family. Guys, welcome Roger McQueen. We're pleased to have you, Roger.
Thanks so much. It is a thrill for me to be back at Salt Lake Community College because I am a big supporter of Salt Lake Community College. I've helped them a lot. My long-term relationship has been, I've been on the foundation board, and we've had a lot of great students who have come from this school. And that's why it's fun to be able to come here. And, I appreciate the way that Salt Lake Community College serves such a diverse demographic population here in the state of their students. And it's a large number of students, too. But what I really appreciate is how they execute on their mission to provide opportunities to so many, to help educate, to help support, and really prepare their students for an improved life by improving their knowledge and their skill set. This forum that now I've had 2 chances to speak at, which it's fun, is one of those steps to help assist you. So I hope I can share some really good information today with you of how you can connect the how of learning, which you're so involved in today, to the why of living that's important. Because that's what's important to be successful. And to start with, I want to show you a video. Now, if I can do this will be amazing. I want to show you a video. Oops, okay, now how this video. And then we're going to talk about this video in just a minute. Sound is...
That's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! There are 2 people!
You just shut it off.
Do something! I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, there's not enough left to do, is there?
Hello?
Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second.
He said he can fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. He says he can fix it.
So what are your thoughts? A little bit of input. Give me what you're thinking. No waiting in life. You got to keep moving. Good comment. Yes. Why didn't he walk up or they walk up the stairs, right? Well, I want you to keep thinking in this video as I go through what I call the next little step here, training. You know, when you look at that escalator, you got to realize circumstances can take things to a standstill. Did they do anything about it? What would you do? They complained. They sought help, right? Looked for their cell phone, stuff like that. Well, think about today. Has the economy been that way the last couple of years? Stuck? A little bit, right? Home valuations have plummeted. Do we have much control of that? 401ks have been very volatile in the stock market, ups and downs. You know, lots of jobs have been lost. And for you graduating students, it's really wonderful to know that unemployment is still very high, right? Real positive stuff going on. But you know what? That's the reality of life. Sometimes we have control of what happens, and other times we have no control. How are you going to react is the big key. Are you going to sit down and wait for someone to rescue you like they did? Are you going to go yell for help and hope that someone will answer all your questions? Or are you going to stand up and take those first steps up the stairs to progress? Are we going to be a victim of our circumstances, or are we going to be victors of our circumstances? The choice is yours. Now, Charles Swindoll gives a great quote. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It's more important than the past, the education, the money, than circumstances, than failure, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. Now that's an important message to every student on this campus. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude that we will embrace for that day. The only thing we can do is play the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. Now that's very important. So I want to jump now to the training 101. And you'll notice there's a little bit added to that first title, because this is your story of success. It's how you choose to make decisions about your life. When I interview people, and trust me, I interview a lot of people every year, ranging from young students who want to become interns with us, young students who are graduates, even MBA students who are graduated and still looking for a job, because they want a chance to work in the financial service industries with us. And there are a lot of people today, because of life circumstances, are finding themselves in a career-changing situation. Sometimes their escalators have stopped as their companies have gone out of business, or the industries they have had has changed so dramatically that their skill sets no longer fit. Many talented people find themselves stuck nowhere in today's economy. So I have a chance to interview and listen to these people. And after getting to know them, I always ask them two questions. You may want to think about these questions and answer them for yourselves. The first question is, tell me about the worst, the most frustrating, the most discouraging event that's ever happened to you in your life, and tell me how you handled it. The second question, as a follow-up, is to tell me the thing that you are most proud of. The one of those defining events that you can look back on your life and say, that was a great day. Now, what I'm looking for when I ask these questions is, how resilient are these people? From their answers, I can see what type of lenses that they are viewing through when they look at their life's experiences. Now, I've had a gamut of unbelievably tear-jerking, emotional, gut-wrenching events of deaths, divorces, betrayals, all the way to I missed the game-winning free throw at the Ward basketball state championship game as the most devastating event in a person's life. Now, often, though, I hear, I can't really think of anything that's really been too discouraging for me or too frustrating. Now, that tells me that individual has a pretty good set of glasses as they're viewing their life. Now, depending on how much time they spend on their story, also lets me know if that story still owns them. If that discouraging event is an issue that's still an issue in their life, and if they're holding on to it with their proud badge of courage, it doesn't become a badge of courage. It becomes a badge that keeps them stuck on their escalator as they keep looking for help. What I've observed is that many people say to me, this may sound really crazy, but the event that was the most discouraging thing to me is linked totally to the thing that I'm most proud of. It goes something like this. My father died. I get emotional with him because I'm part of it. My father died when I was in high school. He left us without any money. There was no life insurance, no planning done. That left us in a financial mess that we had to sell the house and move out of the neighborhood. I had to leave the school I was in. My mom went back to work, and I had to go to work also. I couldn't continue playing the sports and having the events that I had because I had to help the family. That was a devastation. But it's followed up with, but what I'm most proud of is because of that, I put myself through school. If my dad had not died, I would not have had the opportunity that I was forced to have to put myself through school. And that is truly what's made all the difference in my life. What I'm looking at now is for how they can connect the events of their life and see the positive aspects of what's happened and how they've grown because of it. Because whether you go into a career in corporate America today, or whether you become an entrepreneur like our industry, you are in charge. And you need to take full responsibility for your actions to get the results, what you want out of your life. So with that thought, let me now move to a message that I hope assists you in learning how to apply those daily experiences that you find yourself in and learn to see yourself as yourself and view every experience, good or bad, in a positive way so it leaves an imprint for your future. It's your choice, as Charles Swindoll said. It's up to you and how you react in those situations that will make all the difference. So let's go to the first part of O Training 101, because this is your success story. When you started in school, there was lots of learning, and usually, I'm sure it's still here, the same at Salt Lake, at Slick, is followed by a few tests that your professors give you to see how much of that has really been learned and possibly applied. Conventional teaching says that there are two types of tests that measure us. One is an aptitude test. It's your ability. SAT was one of the tests you had to take to get into school. Your IQ when you were very, very small. What was your ability of your brain to assess things? Now, some of you probably are preparing for LSAT or METCAPS or MBA tests, or perhaps in other fields, some kind of aptitude test to express what kind of aptitudes you're capable of having in a discipline that you're looking at. Through these tests, you're also learning what you like to do, and if you have a good aptitude at it, you're probably discovering that you really like to do those things. Or if you don't have an aptitude, you're probably discovering, I don't like that kind of a field, and I don't want to do those types of skills. The second test, thanks, that's what I need. The second test is a motivational test. Here you're discovering that you have an aptitude and a skill set, but now you're finding out the results of what that aptitude encourages. And are you motivated to keep doing it and keep growing and developing that skill? This is when your batteries get charged daily and you're excited about going to work or doing that skill. Some people call this finding your passion. Psychologist and author Martin Seligman says both of these tests, the aptitude and the experimental motivational tests, help you with your path of success. But the one thing that schools do for you is to help you discover your skills and your talents, your likes and your dislikes. And in that process, you find out what captures your heart and connects your mind so that you will be fully engaged in something that is rewarding as a career. This is what psychologists say is meaningful work. And in the book, The Power of Full Engagement, Lear says, the author, James Lear, says, energy, not time, is a fundamental currency of high performance. Now think of that in any situation you're in. If you're energized to do it, you will probably get it done. And performance, health, and happiness are grounded in the skillful management of your energy. Think of the guy or the couple, the two, on the escalator. I don't think they were really engaged. They probably weren't really excited about their work that day. So what were they doing? Waiting for someone to give them the advantage to walk up those steps or get up the steps to the next floor. Now, so as you're going through these tests, as you're working to find out what your aptitude is and where your abilities excel, and as you're developing your skills, you'll probably soon discover what truly motivates you, what truly charges your battery and keeps you in an energy level of full engagement. But, as I mentioned, Seligman says that there are 3 areas to test that are very important. And the third one is how to test your optimism, because your optimism will control your attitude and your persistence. How you are applying the attitude of life's experience will ultimately give you the persistence that is necessary to become an outlier. Now, if you want a book, Learned Optimism, and that's Seligman's book, wonderful book I'm going to talk a little bit more about. And the other O we're going to talk about is Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell. 2 books that if you haven't read, very wonderful. Easy read, Malcolm. Learned Optimism, a little bit more challenging. Well, I'm going to talk about the outlier in a minute, but I can tell you being optimistic helps you. In Martin's book of Learned Optimism, he talks about 5 important areas that are key. First one is personal responsibility. He says, make sure that you are taking full responsibility for yourself. Isn't that what Charles Swindoll's statement was all about? Isn't that what we observed that the people on the escalator did not do? But were just victims of the circumstances? Why didn't they just start moving up the stairs? Siegelman talks about the second part of that is the answer. It's your explanatory style that you see life through. And that is the element of how we view things, which frames the experiences that we have in life. What I mean by putting on the right glasses with the right lenses to do a proper and prudent, or to give a proper and prudent reaction to the circumstances that you find yourself in. Being able to explain things with an understanding that you have learned something from your experience is very, very important. He talks about learning how to explain misfortune. And frankly, guys and gals, all of us will have misfortune. All of us will have changes in our lives. All of us will be faced with great disappointments. Sometimes our escalators will stop. All of us will be faced with challenges. So the key is to learn how to manage your energy at that time. And he says, being able to explain misfortunes in a rational way in your mind does help you so that you don't give away your greatest freedom. Any idea what that is? Pardon? Your life. Your choices is what he says. Your choices. To choose to start walking up the stairs instead of waiting around for someone to help you. The moment you become a victim, you've taken the step that Siegelman says is learned helplessness. And frankly, the world out there is trying all the time. In fact, it's encouraging us. It is supporting many of us to learned helplessness. You guys are here at school because you are wanting to move yourself forward. Things may have happened. It doesn't matter what's happened. It's you moving yourself forward, not being the victim. Why are so many people victims today? I want you to learn to filter all the messages that you get and observe and see daily. Stay away from the people who are trying to pull you down. Find, associate, mentor. Look for the people who will lift you up. Make sure that you're getting the real messages of support, and you will get them from many of your professors, from the people here at this school. Make sure that you get the support to better yourself. And stay away from the messages that help create an entitlement generation that leads to a helplessness syndrome that Seligman warns us about. Now, the last thing he also talks about is testing your GB score. As you're trying to learn, as you're trying to explain all these misfortunes, learn how not to be helpless, not to be like the people on the escalator, to take full responsibility for yourself. It is how you start framing and learning to use your GB score. Now, how you frame each day with the GB, anybody have an idea what G and B stands for? Pardon? Good and bad, exactly. Now, my wife is wonderful. She helps coach people too. But she has a statement. She's, that which you focus on expands. If you focus on the negatives of life and the challenges you have and the problems, and you surround yourself with like people who are doing that, you will probably always be focused on the negative, the helplessness, stuck on the elevator. But if you focus on the good of each day, look at what's happening, you will find yourself expanding your GB score. And keeping a little journal of what you're doing daily, of the experiences, make sure, because there will be challenges that you'll be facing, but make sure you're trying to learn and measure the goodness out of each challenge. Test things. Now, this is an important message, too, from a psychologist. Our brain needs to be tricked. Our brain likes to keep us in the same mode that we're on, kind of just stuck on that. It's easier not to think. So if you can test yourself, just the fact that you're testing yourself tells your mind this isn't a long-term decision. We're going to test ourselves. And so if we can just test ourselves of what we're viewing today, short term, if we keep doing that for several days, pretty soon we've tricked our mind and retrained how we frame our view of life. That tricking positions your brain to take a look at the experiences that you're going through as a test. It doesn't need to be long term, but see what you can learn from each experience. That way, if you do fail, remember you're failing forward because of the testing experience, which is helping you learn something that you didn't know about yourself or about the event that you're going through or about the situation that you're involved in. Edison once told his workers that he loved discovering all the ways that a light bulb could not be illuminated. Over 1,000 tests failed. But he found out all the ways it didn't work, and that thrilled him. That kept him engaged long enough to where he could find the proper filament and the proper conditions that could be used to eliminate the light bulb. How many times are we eliminating our brain? The good things help us illuminate that. The problem is, oftentimes, things don't work. Are we going to get off the escalator? No. Keep working until you find something that does work for you. I hope that this helps you understand this statement, that in the game of life, it's not a win or lose situation that you're stuck into. It's a win and learn situation. But if you don't learn, you do lose. Now I'm going to shift on that game of life. It really says optimism counts, the O. Now the next O I want to talk about is the outlier. And this is 6 key points from this book and wonderful stories. That's why this is an enjoyable book to read, because it's of real life people, not the traditional I had no money and I had great success. It actually tells all the stories of why people become outliers. Who are outliers? Outliers are the people who are the leaders in areas. So I want to encourage you to read that. The first one he talks about is it's not your IQ that matters. Now, wait a minute. We just got tested, right? That was one of the important things. Tells the story of Chris Langdon. Anybody heard of Chris Langdon? Now, if he knew how to communicate well and handle frustration, he probably could have been the Ken Jennings replacement. But he could not socially do things in a proper way and was a total victim mentality. Over 200 IQ. It was off the charts. You don't hear about him because IQ didn't matter, because he was not successful. He was known as the greatest brain, 1 in a billion, but he's unknown. Interesting story. Now, the next one is a story about 10,000 hours. Now, this is important. He talks about perseverance here, Baldwin talks about, Gladwell talks about. And he talks in the sense that in any field, if you're going to become an expert, to be that outlier, you will need to spend 10,000 hours perfecting your skill. So if you wonder why you're not the leader of the company when you just graduated and you got your MBA, I mean, the world's against me, right? No, you have to have a lot of hours in preparation to get the skills to be able to really hone them. And he talked about the importance that any professional person has to have. He says he brings up the issue about motivation and persistence because many people are often derailed on their march toward the 10,000 hours. Therefore, they fall short of becoming an outlier. He talked about the story of the Beatles and how they performed in Hamburg for hours and hours and hours, getting their $10,000 or 10,000 hours of preparation before they ever came to the American soil and were an instant hit, right? No one talks much about those hours of preparation. Number 3, he talks about what starts out as an adversity ends up as being an opportunity. You know, Bill Gates was not the most sociable guy. So what did he do in life? He found a place where he could play with a computer. And it was a very simple situation to practice his hours and hours that prepared him to be ready for his time. Talks about Bill Joy, who was the same situation. Joe Flom, a great attorney in New York. All of them in this book, very interesting stories about the adversities they faced when they were young, which led to the opportunities to be involved in their discovering over 10,000 hours of work for their time when all the stars aligned for them, and then they were ready for their field to become an outlier, the leaders, the people who were far ahead of anybody else, and they led the way. Success is the result of what sociologists call a cumulative advantage. Are you accumulating your advantage here at Slick? Are you using all the opportunities you can have to get ready? Now, number 4 is really an important story. It's about Louis and Regina Borgentak. I don't even know how to pronounce the name. 2 Hungarian immigrants who learned to become and led, they learned to be clothing magnates, very famous business people, and they talked about the need for autonomy, complexity, and a connection between effort and reward. Not effort and position, not effort and family name, not effort and something. It's effort. Put that effort in there. There's your 10,000 hours. And he talked about meaningful work. That's where the reward comes in. If you or any of you have ever wondered why people can find success in whatever they do, it is because usually they believe it's meaningful work. And they have found the autonomy, they found their autonomy, their ability to be their own boss, the complexity of having a challenging skill, work, or job, and most importantly, they've learned the lesson between the connection of effort and reward. Nothing comes easy. But remember, the greater the effort, the greater the reward. It is the work that fulfills us and keeps us engaged in life. I am now quoting again from the book. Hard work is a prison sentence only if it doesn't have meaning. Once it does, it becomes the kind of thing that makes you grab your wife around the waist and dance a jig. And that's exactly what they did together. So as you are out there looking for a job, look for things that you like doing, things that you have great aptitude for. Continue to improve your skills. Keep engaged. And what I mean, keep engaged for 10,000 hours and learn to stay optimistic. It'll help you. Now, the last story is about attitude and dogged persistence. And this brings us to full circle from learned optimism to becoming an outlier. That's why the two things go together. Dr. Schoenfield is a Berkeley professor of mathematics. He was one of the best-loved professors on campus as he worked with math students in what? A very complex field. Complexity is an important aspect. And he helped those students find meaningful solutions to the problems that he gave them. He'd start every semester, every class, by giving them an assignment for 2 weeks to try and solve several problems. What the students didn't understand was the problems were unsolvable. He wasn't looking for the answers. He wanted to help those students find meaningful solutions to the problems that he gave them. He wanted just to measure how long the students would persist in trying to find out, is there a solution? He wasn't as interested in the solutions, like I said, but was testing their minds and seeing how they would be making progress and how persistent they would be. Having a good attitude helped them with that. In fact, I quote Dr. Schoenfeld's, "It is not so much ability as attitude. You master mathematics if you are willing to keep trying." I can tell you, my first math class at the University of Utah, I flunked, and I did very little math from then on through. I gave up, but I found something that grabbed my attention in another way. I did not want to become an engineer like my brother was planning to do, because I was just following my brother. Think about what grabs your attention, and then you will be willing to keep trying. The book states that there is a perfect alignment in the fact that Oriental students are better mathematicians than American students. It's because their attitude and persistence. They're more interested in the process of learning, not the ultimate in the answer to the question. In a study quoted in the book about American and Oriental, or Japanese first graders, they were given the exact same puzzles to finish. And the Oriental, they're very difficult puzzles. The Oriental, or the Japanese students, had an average of 40% longer attention span and persistence than the American students. Long ago, they understood that they were in charge of their personal escalators, and they kept them running longer. They knew the value of persistence because of the rice paddies and the work of feeding their culture. In the book, Schoenfeld videotaped a young 8th grader who spent 22 minutes on a problem that was impossible to solve. That person lasted 22 minutes engaged. The average for the other 8th graders gave up in 30 seconds. How much are you giving up? Where's your scale of persistence? So I hope you see the connection between the two O's. How you view your life in an optimistic way will give you the dogged persistence to handle the most difficult situations you find yourself in, even if you are on an escalator. Now, in the remaining few minutes, I want to go through a little bit about a career that we have at Northwestern Mutual and in the insurance industry, because you're probably going to be looking at what kind of career do I want to be in. I hope I've given you all training to be optimistic people and in your life become an outlier in whatever choice of a career you choose. Now, there's two types of career choices you're going to be placed with. One is the corporate world. Low risk entering. You're going to probably become a team member, junior, mentor, going up the ladder. You got to earn your 10,000 hours, right? Your salary will be guaranteed, and 8 to 5 is a great time. I'm home. You will increase your salary when you increase your value or your hours. There's little autonomy. There's lots of politics. And you will, right now today, have 8 to 10 job changes in your lifetime. Your escalator will be stopping off and on. The entrepreneurial world is much different. Boy, there's high risk in entering. You are going to have to build your own team starting with you first. Sometimes, like in our situation, there's no guaranteed salary. Just 60 to 80 hours to work, but you know what? If it's engaging, is it tough? Is it challenging? Sure, but it's engaging. You will increase your income if you're successful. You'll have healthy autonomy. In charge, sure, there could still be politics, but at least you're in charge. But remember, 85% failure rate. You almost have to be an outlier in that situation. Now, Stephen Spinelli, who was a provost of Babson College, which is a great entrepreneurial college, co-founder of Jiffy Lube, said this about entrepreneurism. Some people can't be taught to be comfortable in an environment of uncertainty and risk. We have to expose people to that environment and have them make a decision. And knowing sooner rather than later whether you've got the it can certainly save a young person a lot of misery down the road. Well, do you have the it that belongs in a corporate world, or do you have the it that can exist in the entrepreneurial world? I don't know. That's for you to discover. That's your test. I'm just exposing you to what is happening. So what is your it? What is your career's it as you look around for jobs? Try to match up. Try and find something that fits you. What's the company that you're going to work for? What's its environment? Because your job is, do the its fit? When you do that, you will be fully engaged. You'll be fully engaged, which will mean an awful lot of success for you going forward. Now, that's why if you are not engaged in an internship right now, it is crazy. That's how you start to test whether your its fit into the companies and the careers. As you're looking around, think about what your vision is for your future and for your career, and try and match up with the company's vision of going forward. Does your mission match up with the company's mission? Do your values match? Do your talents fit and match? Does your skill set something that will help propel you forward? Or is it just a job to get me through the next couple of months? There's the biggest dissatisfaction. Do I like doing it? What are my goals in connection with the company's goals? And do I find purpose, which is very key? Are you going to be dancing the jig when you go home at night? Because you are finding meaningful work. Now, back to powerful engagement. Again, think of the importance of the O training when you read this. There are undeniably bad bosses, toxic work environments, difficult relationships, and real-life crises. And frankly, we've been going through some real ones the last couple of years. Nonetheless, we have far more control over our energy, remember how the importance of that energy comes in, than we ordinarily realize. The number of hours in a day is fixed, but the quantity and quality of energy available to us is not. Are you maximizing your energy when you show up to your class, to your work, to your spouse when you get home? I mean, those are good questions that you're in control of. It is our most precious resource. The more we take responsibility for the energy we bring to the world, the more empowered and productive we become. That's what an outlier does, has done, and there's great stories about them. The more we blame others or external circumstances, right? Are we stuck on the escalator? The more we find the reasons for why we aren't being successful, the more negative and compromised our energy is likely to be. That is your choice. That's an important thing for you. Now, do I end in how much time? 5 more minutes. I'm going to go quick then, because this was just a fun Harvard study that just said people were more successful as graduates who had a purpose and were engaged. 101 of them became millionaires. 39% of them who looked for pursuing their true interests first in hopes that money would follow. And those who focused on money, only one in category A was a millionaire. So just some success of his. Our industry is a great industry. Had some challenges the last couple of years, but those are some great choices you have out there in our industry. We have in our industry helping people financially. Is that meaningful work? To me, it tremendously has been, and I've been engaged in it. It's looking at risk management people have to face in their life. helping them to accumulate wealth, and those that are successful, the outliers, to preserve that wealth and distribute it properly. Northwestern Mutual is a company nationally that's one of the best selling power. It's the #1 company from selling power as it rated the top 50 companies to sell for. Just this week, Northwestern Mutual was granted and given the world's most admired life insurance company. Now, what's amazing is for 25 straight years, we were America's most admired, the only one that was every 25 years. But we're not international. So now to become the international without having an international market, #1 is really saying something. Vault magazine says our internship is the top internship in the nation. Newsweek says a great internship. We have the top. Yahoo says personal finances advisor is the best job to be looking at. And Northwestern is mentioned in Business Week as the best place to launch a career the last 3 years. Why is it so wonderful? Because the baby boomers they're on the top part of that platform, they need the transfer of wealth and the distribution so they have a happy life. But they weren't good planners. There's 79 billion of them, my age. We did not take responsibility for our finances. That's why so many people are messed up. They've been poor savers, heavy debt. They believed that corporate benefits and Social Security would take care of them. That's why no one's taking care of them. Little knowledge of money. It was bad manners in my day to discuss finances. Little or no planning. Life expectancy was 68. Now it's 10 years beyond retirement. Not health conscious like your generation. I have had a great career with my baby boomers. But look at your generation X and Y. Actually, we missed that. It's 79 million generation X and Ys. They're your age. You are at the cusp of this new great generation. Financially very responsible because they've observed the problems their parents have. They are already starting out to be great savers. They don't like debt. They don't trust corporations or for sure the Social Security system, where we did. Financially, they're more informed. One, because they have so many more options on the internet and to work with that. They're great planners. They want to have help. Their life expectancy is much longer, twice as long, and they're more health-oriented after retirement. So, if any of you are interested in looking in that field, please come up and talk. I've got Jody Vaudry, great slick graduate, a career changer. Part of the PAC committee here works with that. Student of Marlon Andrus, was an intern with us, is now in a leadership role called a college unit director, which is helping students. She mentors them and helps them. Stephanie down here is our office operations manager. So if anybody's interested in coming up to look at, we will test you. We will help you. We'll help you look at the opportunities, but more so personalize it to you through the tests to see if this is a field that you should even be looking at. But if you're interested, come up. Now, we're not going to seek you. Come up. That's our first test. Come up here and talk to us. We know a lot of you won't. But for those that are interested, they may come up. Marlon's best buddy, one of his good buddies, is Ben Jones, our retirement planner for Russell Company. He did not look like a financial advisor when I met him. Changes in life. So I end with this thought. I want you to take charge of your life. Look at your mission. Look at your purpose. Look at your energy level. Look at your optimism level. And then align your actions as you go forward so that you too will have a happy life. I hope this was helpful. You're wonderful being here as students at Slick. You're making the steps that are important. Keep doing it. Thanks very much for your time.